Welcome to MMA Fancast. My name is Luke Payson. Welcome back to everyone who has already subscribed to the YouTube channel. If you haven't already subscribed to the MMA Fancast YouTube channel, please subscribe so you can see another great interview, including the one coming at you right now. Welcoming back to the show. The last time he was on the show, he was talking about his victorious kickboxing fight on November 8th for 247 Fighting Championship, where he won in round one by KO, but now is back on the show to talk about his upcoming 247 Fighting Championships, 247 MMA at the venue, 5 MMA fight. Put your hands together to George Scheibe, which I think
Thanks
is
for having me
Scheibe.
on. Good to be back.
George
Scheibe, yeah.
Scheibe, yeah. With
Yeah.
my George Scheibe. There we go. There is a risk when I go into the announcer voice that I get the pronunciation wrong. Really, really great to have you back on the show. I think you had mentioned when I interviewed you in the cage after your great kickboxing win and then on this show that this was the game plan, right? Coming out of that fight, game plan was to get back a little history to catch people up. You have a 1-1 MMA record, but those fights were in 2021 and 2022. Then you took a
Yes.
break, and now you're back for kickboxing. Fill us in on everything that's happened after that kickboxing fight to get you to where you are now, under 2 weeks away, about a week and a half away from March 14th's event.
Well, we were just waiting for a good matchup, and I got done practice one day. Isaac told me that we had a fight. So after the kickboxing fight, which was about a 2-month camp of nothing but striking, which I was training at Stout with Lucas Siebert a lot for that. Um, then I got just back into the factory for grappling, 3, 4 days a week, just getting that base back, working with Julian Flannery and Cody Gamble a lot, and just all the savages out there. And once Isaac felt that I was ready, we had a matchup, so it just lined up perfectly.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And you're talking about quite literally big names in heavyweight MMA with the incredible Cody Gamble, and now a pro MMA fighter. And I believe he's 1-0. He had his pro debut for 247 and won. And that is Julian Flannery. So I mean, just incredible, partners for you. What is it like making that transition back to grappling? Were you a grappling base before you went for that kickboxing fight, or kind of how's this been developing?
It's been kind of a mix of both. I started my MMA journey with just training Muay Thai, and then when I moved to high ground jiu-jitsu, which is where my last two MMA fights came out of, really got into grappling there. But it's been more of the grappling for MMA than just focusing on jiu-jitsu or wrestling. But I've always loved grappling. It's a lot of fun, especially in a room like that where every match, no matter, I could be going against somebody who's a featherweight and they're going to give me a good match.
Yes, it's a great environment. You're wearing a Matt Factory shirt, which is pretty beautiful. It's great to see you wearing that. And obviously, you mentioned training with Lucas, now Steel City Lucas Siebert, who's an undefeated 6-0 MMA pro and out of Stout Factory. What Stout Factory? What's a Stout Factory? Man, I'm blurring the names. Stout Pittsburgh, although that is a cool name to blend the two. The Matt Factory and Stout Pittsburgh. What's that partnership like, and the fact that you were cross training, and kind of what does Pittsburgh MMA mean to you? Because everybody that comes on that trains at either Stout or the Matt Factory always talks about kind of the unity within Pittsburgh MMA, including the Academy and several others.
I mean, the community's been incredible. That's partly why I started doing MMA in the first place, was getting out of the military, looking for my group of people. And that's where I found it. And it's like just the ability of, all right, I'm going to get my grappling in a mat factory. They don't offer as many striking classes. I'm going to go get some Muay Thai in with Lucas. I lift in the same places, their Monroeville location. So they've been nice enough that when I'm in camp, I can just go down there and get some work in. It's just really nice to be able to be like everybody looking out for each other. And that's something I was missing getting out of the military. And then especially the last few years of my MMA journey, it's been incredible.
Yes, it is incredible. I know you've shared on this program before that you're a Marine, and so a huge welcome home to you with you, having had a combat deployment. I think several combat deployments.
3, yes.
3. I remember you sharing that on the first one. People need to go back and watch the first interview of you on the show, because obviously, George, it's great having you back on. But 3 combat deployments and looking for your people and finding it within the community of MMA, and that makes a lot of sense with the unity and also the getting ready for combat, although it's a different type of combat. What has been the most, because obviously as a Marine, you'll know, like, kind of embrace the suck. What's been the most sort of aspect of MMA, not that you hate, but just that you have to kind of just get used to, maybe not, the classic BJ phrase is get comfortable being uncomfortable. What comes the most easiest to you, and what's kind of been the most process of enduring?
Striking has always come the most
Okay.
easy to me. I've been working with Chris Yinzer boxing for a couple years, and then it's just been, I have a lot more fun striking. So not necessarily wrestling and jiu-jitsu being uncomfortable, but getting into those uncomfortable positions where I know I just want to stand up and trying to work through that. That's been kind of not necessarily my Achilles heel. I'm pretty good at it. But it's been one of the things that I try to work on. Even last night at Math Factory, every time that there was a chance for me to be in a bad position, I took it just to finish nailing that home.
Sure, and that's, I think, the difference between, and it's a great mindset to have, but that's the difference between when you're in the cage and you've got to win in every position. You've got to find a way to make that fight go your way. And one of the things is, it's an old expression I saw on maybe the back of a football player shirt wise, but it said, train hard, play easy, or perform easy. And of course, in MMA, they use that a lot too: train hard, fight easy. But how important do you think it is, mindset wise and skill wise, to put yourself in disadvantage, bad positions in training? Because we've heard, even at the UFC level, that sometimes fighters get to a point, for whatever reason, where they don't let themselves lose any rounds in trainings. They never put themselves in bad positions. And it might be a mental thing, it might be a pride thing, ego thing, but how important do you think it is to, for lack of a better word, not maybe lose, but challenge yourself in training, put yourself in bad positions, give up your neck and then have to defend, or whatever the challenge is? How important do you think that is for you, and how much would you recommend that for other people when it comes to training?
I think it's the most important part of the training. Like, yeah, you need to win rounds and be confident, but if you're not putting yourself through that struggle in the training room, you're not going to be able to do it in the cage. So if you go up against somebody who, they might be stronger than you, they might be a better wrestler. If you're getting held down, you need to be able to get back up. And I know Isaac is huge on that, of making sure that you're in bad positions at multiple times. That way you have the confidence that you can get yourself out. And that goes back to my military background too, that we always trained for the worst scenario. You don't train for the best scenario because it's not going to happen on that day.
Absolutely, it's a great connection between the two. And you mentioned a legend in Pittsburgh MMA, Coach Isaac Greeley, who was also the first inductee in the 247 Fighting Championship Hall of Fame. What are your thoughts on him as a coach and also a mentor? He's a dad, you're a dad. What's kind of your thoughts on that connection?
Ever since moving over, it's been incredible because he just has a different mindset to coaching than I think I had experienced in the past, where he's very much like, I'm going to trust you to do what you need to do, but I'm also going to guide you through that process, versus like a very rigid, like, he's like, you're a grown man. I trust that you'll come to training. If you're not here, I trust that you're training somewhere else. And then he's able to take my different skill sets that I've learned and put them into his vision of where I should be going.
Well, that's great leadership out of him, and it's also the responsibility. There are some fighters that maybe need that more structure, and I think part of self-discipline and kind of being intrinsically motivated. You have the desire, partly instead of you in the Marines, but also that desire to actually want to get better and to push yourself. There's that old expression. I believe it was a pro or a champion boxer that said it's hard to get up at 5 a.m. when you're sleeping on satin sheets or silk sheets. Like sometimes in life, when things get a little better and a little bit easier, it can be harder to push yourself. Let's get your thoughts on this coming fight, what are you looking out of yourself? Like, what would you like to see out of yourself? Your first time fighting in full MMA. You've been in the cage before, but for kickboxing in the last 4 years since 2022, what do you want to look out of yourself? And what are your thoughts on your opponent, Nicholas Heimer, or however we're going to say his name? But what are your thoughts on both those things?
Out of myself, I just want to see. I know for my kickboxing fight, I came out very confident. Like the first 10 seconds were rushed, kind of like a little bit jittery. But I just want to see that confidence in my game plan and my skills that no matter where it goes, I'm going to be better. About my opponent, I know he's younger than me. He's strong. He's hungry. He's a good wrestler, and he's a black belt in Taekwondo. So really, the fight could go anywhere. I just got to trust that I'll be better and just have a little bit more experience in the training room and in the cage.
Well, it's certainly always a great matchup. Is this at 205 or heavyweight?
It's a heavyweight, but catch weight at 220 pounds.
Okay. So heavyweight, but limited to 220, which I think, I've made the case back when I was following more UFC. Now I primarily follow 247 fighting championships because they do so much, and everybody should be checking out not only what they do through 247, but also all their events at the Sunny Days Arena, because they've just had midget wrestling. They had knights fighting each other, before.
Went to that one. That was fun.
Oh, did you? And
Yeah.
you probably being a Marine, you probably were like, let me at him, get me in there.
I looked at my buddy Trevor Ward, who's actually competing at the Heroes on the Mat the day after my fight, and I'm like, I think we need to change sports. I think we're in the wrong one right now.
Yeah, I think, well, maybe, but do both. But that would be quite exciting. So it's a heavyweight fight, limited to 220. Everybody knows that MMA fans love to watch the big guys throw down. I like the fact that you're complimentary of your opponent. He's making his debut. I'm going to be interviewing him actually later tonight. So hopefully, we kind of get an idea of his background. I know nothing about him. You tend to know a little bit already, which is good. But from what you said, a wrestling background with Taekwondo, so striking and grappling, exactly kind of what you're looking for. Somebody that's got well-roundedness to test you and also to show off your skills. I can't wait for it. People need to be getting their tickets now from either 247fighting.com or from you, or for somebody at the Mad Factory, somebody at Stout. The gyms usually have them, the fighters usually have tickets. If you're buying tickets online, make sure you pick George Scheibe's name to get credit, because you're there to watch him or you want to give him the credit. Also, if you're anybody from outside, I imagine you know people all around the world, being a Marine, and some people maybe still serving or deployed or wherever. If you're going to get the pay-per-view, make sure because every once in a while, scammers put up false links and all that. So only buy tickets either from a fighter directly or from 247fighting.com. If you're looking for the pay-per-view, most of the time, Facebook and other places will be flooded with scam links. Only buy your pay-per-view either from 247fighting.com, or my preference would be that you download the 247 Live app on any of the app stores, and as long as it's a smart device, TV, whatever, you can watch it, and that's an incredible thing. So just kind of a little bit of housekeeping there for people to be able to support you. And if you're buying the pay-per-view, make sure you also pick George Scheibe's name, because that gives you credit as well. What are your closing thoughts? What would you like to leave in the mind of the listeners as maybe a prediction, or just your thoughts on the fight coming up March 14th for 247 Fighting Championships?
First, I just want to give kind of more of just like a shout out to two organizations. I'm representative and I'm an ambassador for two veterans nonprofits called Veteran Bushido Brotherhood and Leaps of Hope. Both of them support veterans through communities, like Veteran Bushido Brotherhood does through combat sports or group fitness. Leaps of Hope gets them skydiving. They're both guys that Jared Fry and Ross Mitchell, that I've done jujitsu with. Veterans, first responders, finding a community. I did it through MMA. There's a way to be able to get help, not through, therapists. You can find a community. But as for prediction for the fight, similar to the last one, I'm going to come out fist flying, and we're going to see what happens.
Well, it's very important that you shout out those nonprofits, and I believe the Mad Factory is pretty big into doing the the grappling tournament for the Bushido Brotherhood, right? I think
Yes.
that's something. Yeah, yeah. I think that's something that they do every year. Obviously, it's its own nonprofit, but clearly, I'm pretty sure the Mat Factory is always uh, Facebook flooding, all that tournament because that's the fundraiser for the organization, correct? And isn't that in
Yes.
May or around Memorial Day, maybe something like that?
That one's typically in September.
Okay,
It's the annual throwdown that they do. It's a gun raffle, concert, a bunch of stuff. It's a great event to get out to, but they do a few events every year.
fantastic, and that's wonderful that you are, promoting them, and obviously already know the people involved there. So that's great. Great prediction as well. Can't wait to see you. It's going to be an incredible. We also have multiple pro fights later that night. I mean, it's just two female MMA pro fights that are just going to be spectacular. Can't wait to see. Of course, one of them, actually probably both, Mat Factory, uh, Cheyenne. Well, I'll ask you this: you've probably trained alongside or with Bat Queen Cheyenne Hall, and then also over at Stout Sunshine, Brittany Bickert. What are your thoughts on them, both as fighters and also as representing women's MMA and Pittsburgh?
I think they're both great representing women's MMA because mainly they're just their attitudes. They're both the nicest people when you
Yeah,
talk to them, but
yeah.
then when the cage door closes, they're scary. My first MMA fight, Cheyenne fought for an amateur title up in Erie. That night, it was just a whole like difference that I had met her that day. We were talking and just watching her fight, and then now training with her almost every day. You get to see her flip that switch, and I know Britt does the same thing, and it's really incredible to be around.
Yeah, they are incredible. 247's been pointing out there that these are not only fan favorites, but it's a big deal to have two pro women's MMA fights on the same card. That's a huge deal, and they're great representatives. And yes, what's wonderful about them is they are not outside of the cage. They're not intimidating anybody. They're super sweet. I mean, Sunshine's nickname is Sunshine, for goodness sake, because of smiling. And if you ever want to get a conversation going with Cheyenne, just talk about rescuing dogs. And in fact, is your German Shepherd still around? She was trying to make an appearance earlier. No, the dog
Uh,
has
he,
left.
he he moved over to the
He
couch.
moved
He's
over.
9 years old now, so he's
Oh, okay.
yeah,
I heard a little bit of the whining. I figured he needed love. You don't love him enough.
yeah.
You need to love him
No,
more.
but he doesn't want attention unless he sees me talking to somebody else. So
Oh, that's it. The jealousy. Well, that serves him well. Well, good. That's wonderful. It's been a real honor having you on the show. Everybody needs to check out the nonprofits you mentioned, particularly if they're veterans or know a veteran that could benefit from those nonprofits, which is fantastic. Thanks so much for taking time out. Can't wait to see you or anyone else that's going to be coming out to support 247 Fighting Championships, 247 MMA live at the venue 5. That title just keeps seeming to grow, but 5. Can't wait to see it. March 14th. My special guest tonight has been George Scheibe. Thanks so much.
thank you again.
You got it.